So my name is Vitaliy Kroychik. I'm with the Wyoming Department of Health. I work with the Tobacco Prevention and Control Program for the state. And one of my main tasks is to oversee the Wyoming for Tobacco Program. So I'm the cessation coordinator. I actually used to work as a tobacco cessation counselor back in the day before I took this job as well. So I do have some experience. I'm a certified tobacco treatment specialist, certified health education specialist, and kind of pigeonholed myself into the world of tobacco, which is a good thing. Because somehow, 60 years later, we're still using it, I guess. So I want to talk about the Wyoming Tobacco Program, what it offers, how you should talk to people who smoke, whether if they're in your own personal lives, if they're in a professional setting, or whatever else. I think it'll make you more effective. It'll make them more likely to quit, and I think that'll be better for health outcomes everywhere. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get started with I'll just get started with some general information on.
No, it's fine. Okay.
So some general information about the state of Wyoming. Smoking rates. 2014 is the last data out of the BRFIS, that's the Behavior Risk Factor Surveillance Survey, and that is mainly for adults. There's also the YRBS, the Youth Risk Surveillance Survey. This data that we have shows a trend line down, obviously, so we see that, hey, we're going down 23 to 19.5, in 3 years. That's not too bad, right? We still do hover above the national average. So, numbers are coming in that are slightly lower than that now, but we're still usually hovering about a point to 2 points above the national average. Okay, unfortunately. It's okay. By sex, this is smoking rates. 20.7 versus 18.2, and if you move that to chewing tobacco, there's a bigger discrepancy, so it's more like 13 and 3% males to females. If we move down to some subpopulations, we see that the data shows us that women are less likely to smoke when they're pregnant now than they were several years from now. Still usually above the national average, although not the worst, thank God, but still some work to do, for sure. Youth and smoking, check this out. 20 years we've had, 25% drop? That's fantastic, isn't it? Isn't that great? However, electronic nicotine delivery systems, so your vapes, your e-cigs, your NQs, are up to 30%. Essentially 29.6, it's a 30-day use rate, which is what we call the current use. If you ask students in high school whether they've used it ever, you're likely to get a 50% rate. So this is an ever-shifting market, okay? And while I guess we're on the topic of electronic nicotine delivery systems, electronic vapor products, okay? So whenever you see that word, it's like, well, vaping, or this is in a vape, or an e-vape, or whatever else. It's not. So it's not vapor, it's actually an aerosol. They're very, very tiny particles. There's volatile, semi-volatile, and very volatile compounds in them. That is a problem. They're also smaller particles, like I said, they get deeper into the lungs. We don't know exactly what the long-term effects are because we don't have that data yet, and it hasn't been a long-term as of yet, okay? So, what we do know is that kids who are never smokers, who do use electronic nicotine delivery systems, e-cigs, vapes, whatever, they're 3 times more likely to start using real tobacco. And those who are trying to go from cigarettes, for example, to electronic cigarettes, 80-some% of those usually end up being dual users. So for example, at some points they'll smoke the vape, at some points they'll smoke cigarettes, and they'll never really quit. So it doesn't lend itself useful for quitting. Now, in some, and this is a very popular topic by the vaping industry, well, the New England Journal of Medicine said that it is an effective cessation aid. Well, the New England Journal of Medicine also said that having filters on cigarettes is a safer thing, and that's not really true. Okay, so they've taken the approach of trying to work with the tobacco industry in Great Britain to try to make them safer. We've taken the approach that there's not really a safe alternative, which is shown by our outcomes. So the quit line. So I told you that I managed the Wyoming Quit Tobacco program. It works. So I've seen it work. I used to help people quit, and I know because we get evaluated. So we do surveys, independent surveys through the Wyoming Survey and Analysis Center. We know that we have a 30% quit rate. That is nicotine replacement products plus counseling, coaching, and then a 46% quit rate of Chantix plus counseling. Okay, so it is convenient, it is effective, and it's efficient. Medications are provided at no cost to anybody who has a Wyoming address, and it serves the population at time of need because quitting oftentimes is impulsive. What is the date when it's not impulsive? Can anybody answer me? Date that quitting is not impulsive.
When you're dead.
Huh? When you're dead? That could be a good one. Although death might be an impulse, I guess.
Not an impulse.
January 1st. A lot of people say, hey, I'm going to quit on January 1st.
Oh.
Just like a lot of people say, I'm going to quit on Monday. And we do see a lot of people quitting during the beginning stages of the week. And that's fine. That's, whenever people decide to do it. Oftentimes, though, if they go see their doctor and they say, hey, you have high blood pressure, you're in your early 20s, what's going on? Are you doing this? Oh, you're smoking, that can contribute to it. Or, for example, if all of a sudden they have had control of their blood pressure or, their diabetes was in check and now it's not, and they're saying, listen, you gotta get the cigarettes, some diabetes medications aren't as effective when you involve nicotine, smoking. So, oftentimes it is impulsive. A member of their family might die and they'll say, hey, they got lung cancer, I smoke. Crap, I should quit. And it's impulsive. I can't tell you the amount of people that say, you know what, I'm really worried, now I'm on oxygen, I'm gonna die like this. And then they quit, their COPD gets better, they're more manageable, they don't have to be on oxygen all the time, they don't have to have nebulizer treatments, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Quality of life, length of life, so on and so forth. Okay, and we are contracted through National Jewish Health, which is the top respiratory hospital in the nation. They're in Denver, not too far away, I guess. And what is it? 5 counseling sessions, certified tobacco cessation coach. They're usually we try to schedule them about a week or 2 apart. Some people say, hey, listen, can we go a little longer? Can we go a little shorter? Maybe it's every week for the first couple, and then, let me see how I do. I'm doing well. Let's give it 2 weeks. Let's do one a month out. So it depends on the participant, and it is based on motivational interviewing, which is an effective counseling tool. Like I said, we do have free products available to all Wyoming residents. Nicotine replacement products and other quit medications. 12 weeks of patches, gum, or lozenges. You can also do a combination therapy, so patches and gum is an effective one, patches and lozenges, etc. Chantix at no cost for 3 months. They do have to have a prescription. Wellbutrin as well. You can do Wellbutrin and nicotine replacement products, but you cannot do Chantix and nicotine replacement products because Chantix is a nicotine receptor blocker, and it doesn't make sense for you to be getting nicotine and a nicotine receptor blocker. So phone coaching materials sent via mail or email or both. Text support, apps, quit medications, etc. 24/7 online program available for more information. People kind of pick and choose what components that they use. If they want to use quit medications, they have to get the counseling. We don't just want to throw away money to get a lower result. We want you to call and talk to a counselor. It works. Now, oftentimes you will hear, like as I've heard, some people say, hey, if there was an in-person meeting or like a group meeting like AA, for tobacco users, that would work. That's not evidence-based practices. People, even one-on-ones that try to do that, they fail because who's going to drive up the road, you know, especially here in Wyoming, like maybe there's one here, and if you live in Rock Springs, it's, you know, pretty close. But what if you're, you know, if you live in Sinclair and Rollins doesn't have one, are you going to drive a couple hours out here? Probably not. So we know that this method, one-on-one motivational interviewing, and impulsive and convenient, is very, very effective. It's evidence-based. Others are not. Okay?
So the prescription part of that, say the doctor that I work with is willing to write a prescription, is that who would write the prescription, or is it somebody that, through this program, that they talk to and then it's written for them, or how does that work?
It's your physician that would write the prescription.
Okay.
So you would call and enroll, and then you would say, hey, listen, I tried to use the patch some years ago. It kind of worked, but I think I need something better. I'd like to do the Chantix. So the program would order it, and then you would go see your doctor and get a prescription. And then the prescription essentially would be sent to you from Ridgeway Pharmacy, which is in Victor, Montana. They handle all the Chantix stuff for Colorado, Wyoming, and Montana. So
if they come to me and tell me that they want to quit, I will refer them to this coaching program, tell them to call
Yes.
the quit line, and they will direct you back to us to get a prescription if you need it.
yes,
And then
absolutely.
we will write one.
If you know that they're going to be using, that they want to use Chantix and you're cool with that, you can just, you know, send the prescription, or you can just write it and then send it when they give you the phone number or the fax number. So the fax number, I think, is, I can't remember there.
Is it on the information from the quit line and all that?
It's,
I got from Cassie Crumpton. Is it in there?
I just saw it. They're not on there. So that information's not on there. However, the patient will be given information for it, and it will be on our website as well. Okay. So, all right. We do have a pregnancy-specific protocol. It's an incentivized program. And what we know is that a lot of the women that we serve are of low socioeconomic class, and any little bit helps. So, and then the other part is making sure that they go through it. And if you notice, the postpartum per call incentive is larger than the pregnancy. Why do you think that is? That's one of the reasons, absolutely. Of the women who quit, 70% go back within the first 6 months. So if you've effectively quit and you're successful and you give birth to your wonderful, beautiful baby, the likelihood of you smoking within the next 6 months is about 70%. And that's, you know, that's obviously not good. We want to keep them away from that second and third hand smoke. The other part is that sometimes people are like, oh, well, I quit, I'm good, and now all of a sudden, this reason, you know, a lot of women have that reason, hey, I shouldn't smoke, there's another life here that I don't want to affect due to my choices. Well, now all of a sudden, the baby's born and they might not feel the same way. So, this is what this is for. We know that we've reduced the recidivism rate to about 35%. We're looking at, and this has been a 2-year pilot among, I believe it's like 12, 13 different states. And we're seeing what we can do to further reduce that rate of recidivism. Okay? It is a one-on-one coaching relationship with a female coach. We found that through the studies that we did prior to the pilot program, is that it was, you know, pertinent to pregnant women that they find that they talk to somebody who is. They are eligible for all of those nicotine replacement products and Chantix and so on and so forth. For nicotine replacement products, there has to be an MD consent, and then just a prescription for the Chantix or Wellbutrin if they're able. They must be pregnant at the time of enrollment, so if they are postpartum, they can't go through this program. So they could go through the regular program. The American Indian Commercial Tobacco Program. There's an important word in there, commercial tobacco.
Right.
Okay, so, and the reason for this is that we found that with the regular program, those who are, Native Alaskans, American Indians, Native Americans, we're not getting the message. And because, obviously there's traditional and ceremonial tobacco they use, and cigarettes, chews, snuff, all that stuff, is not. It's not traditional, it's not ceremonial, it's commercial tobacco, okay? So we did some digging, National Jewish, I believe they contacted and surveyed 20 tribes or tribe members from the states that they service, including to see what would work. And what they found is more sessions, but shorter sessions could possibly work. So we're in testing right now. We're one of the 5 or 6 states that are currently doing this. It is a native cessation counselor. I know one of them actually grows her own tobacco, ceremonial tobacco, of course. And the idea is that, they separate from what the traditional way of using tobacco is versus what the commercial way of, that exploitation is. Okay? Right. Is your patient ready? Okay, so this is the trans-theoretical model of behavior change. It's got 5. Some may say that there's actually 7 points because there's like slip and relapse at the end, blah, blah, blah. That's fine. We don't want to focus on those. But do you want to talk about action, about quitting when your patient does not give any care about quitting smoking at the time? No. You're going to turn them off, right? So you have to meet them where they're at. So just ask them some simple questions. Have you ever thought about quitting? Have you tried to quit? What was it like? Do a hypothetical. If you were to quit right now, how do you think your life would be? Things like that. So if they're ready or like, man, I've thought about it, I've done it, I'd like to try it again at some point, maybe they're kind of closer to that contemplation stage. And you can get them excited, you get that ball rolling. That acceleration is easier once they're already moving rather from a dead stop. Okay? So meet them where they're at. The important part is that you are seen as somebody who's in a position of power, whether you like it or not. You're the position of authority, you're the position of knowledge. Don't use that position to pressure somebody into it. They're going to be turned off. It's just like a teenager, like, hey, don't do this. What is the first thing that they're going to do? That exact same thing. And like I said, it's based on motivational interviewing. It is patient-centered, and it is essentially you're exploring their motivations for their quit, and you're resolving their ambivalence. Okay, it is focused on patient autonomy. It is collaborative, evocative, and honors patient autonomy. We're going to focus on this patient autonomy piece quite a bit. Collaborative, again, you're not seen as you're in a position of power. You're seen as an equal. You're trying to, get them to talk about something, maybe work with you to reach that common goal. Evocative, try to ask them questions, open-ended, get them to speak about their experience or maybe their life or motivations. Understand them. And when you take that step, not just in smoking cessation, but in any other world, if you're dating, this works perfectly. Just FYI. If you try to understand the other person, you're much more likely to build rapport with them. Okay? They're a lot more likely to come away with feeling that this person cares about me, they truly want to help me instead of somebody that's being pressured into it. And again, honor that patient autonomy. If they don't want to do it, don't do it. Resist the righting reflex, okay? It's like a slap on the wrist. Don't do that. And that's what they see it as. Understand the patient's motivations. For example, if they say, I quit 11 years ago, I quit for about a year. Say, tell me what you noticed that was different. You don't have to say better. How was it, how was your life different for the 1 year that you were quit? Well, I didn't wake up with a cough every morning. Okay, so you felt healthier. See how you're weaving stuff into that? Well, I saved a bunch of money. Sure, cigarettes are expensive, aren't they? There you go. Listen to your patient. And by repeating those things, you're doing affirmation and reflections, saying, hey, you felt healthier. You saved money. You're listening, but not only are you listening, but you're actually telling them that you're listening by essentially stating the same thing that they just told you. Okay? Empower your patient. Provide assistance, information if the patient is interested. Ask every time about their progress. Also, ask every single time if they use tobacco. Last 2 times I went to my doctor, and I've seen my doctor 3 times in, well, this current doctor. I've been asked once. Last 2 times they haven't asked, and I've called them out on it. They're like, aren't you supposed to ask me about my tobacco use? Why didn't I get suicide prevention questions? Depression questions? What about alcohol questions? Do you just assume that just because I was having, a drink or 2 every month a year ago that I'm having a drink or 2 now? Like, what if I'm having 5 drinks a day? What if I smoke a pack a day now? You just don't know. I just brush my teeth all the time. So, if you take one thing away from this whole thing, if you ask your patient if they smoke, they're a lot more likely to give it a try within the next year than if nobody does. Okay? So if you see a patient, for example, once a year, we're the ones that just come once a year for their annual, and you ask them every single time, they're likely going to at least try to quit. And we know that at least trying to quit is what's going to get them there. It might take 10 times, it might take 30 times, who knows, everybody's different. It might take once. Alright, being a good guide, so guide them into it. Ask where the person wants to go. Ask them about their previous quit attempts. Where did they succeed? Where did they fail? Like, tell me about what happened when you, how you got started after that year. Oh, well, I was out with my buddies and, I had a couple beers and I thought having just one wouldn't hurt. But the next day I bought a pack and I felt like, well, every time I have a couple beers, I'll just, I'll be able to smoke a cigarette here and there, but not be smoking every day. Well, by the end of the month I was smoking every day, and then in 2 months I was smoking a pack a day again. Okay, so that tells you that that you're not able to just have that one cigarette. If you quit and then you have that one, you're going to go right back to it. So that next time you quit, you know that you can't have that just one. All right? Inform them of their options, offer assistance, and explain what type of assistance is available. I don't care if they use my program, okay? It would be nice. It's fantastic. It's paid for. It's comprehensive. We evaluate it. You're not going to find anything better, especially in this state. However, if they want to use something like some of those apps that like, smoke 1 cigarette less per day, who cares? Get them that information. If there's a local cessation counselor that actually sees patients and they really want to do that, get them to do that. Great. And then listen to what the person wants to do. Respect their autonomy. They're likely adults, all right? If they're children, then maybe be a little bit more heavy-handed, I guess. Not in the literal sense. But. ORs. So open-ended questions, way better than closed-ended questions in any type of dialogue style, okay? Yes or no questions, you can fall into a question trap. Mm-hmm. So if I ask you 3 yes or no questions in, back to back to back, you're just essentially being programmed to then sit there and wait for my next question before you respond. Instead of having this dialogue where you add on things and elaborate and all these sort of things. So open-ended questions, okay? Affirmations, build a rapport, okay? Reflective listening. I just threw out a bunch of reflections. Like I said, great for dating, right? Anybody's in that world? Reflective listening is fantastic. If you're trying to understand and build rapport with somebody, reflective listening is going to save the day. And then summaries. Summaries are essentially reflections, but at the very end of your conversation. So if you wrap up the conversation, say, well, just to kind of go over this, you've tried it before, you did, you were successful for a year, you found that your health was better, you saved a bunch of money, and then you found out that you really can't just have that one cigarette, but maybe you'd like to try it again, so here are some options. When you finish that summary, you give them an opportunity, sometimes verbally, said like, would you like to add anything else, or or sometimes they'll just go off on another tangent, you know, and say, oh, I forgot to tell you, like, this is what I did, and I remember, like, you know, I had like a bunch of toothpicks in the car and like at work and stuff, and I just chewed on those instead. Like, oh, sweet. So this time, if you try to quit, just make sure you have a bunch of toothpicks, right? Like, yeah, cool, that works. So now they're building a plan. So I understand that you guys don't have a lot of time. So ask, advise, refer. Ask if they smoke every single time, please. And if you can't, ask them why sometimes that works. Why do you smoke? They're like, oh, I don't really know. Self-doubt. Why do I do this? I don't know, I just do. Okay, then ask if they want to quit, or maybe if they've quit before, like I said. Advise them of the health risks. I'm not saying that you can't do that because you are in a position of power. I'm not saying that you're going to, oh no, they're going to get offended because you tell them that they shouldn't smoke because their diabetes medication won't be as effective. No, tell them that. Hey, you're having uncontrolled high blood pressure partially because you smoke. So think about that. Okay, that's fine. Refer them to get to quit. Okay. So a referral could be a physical referral form where you can send it in, or something like we talked about. This is the referral form. So you fill it out. If you put your own sticker on here, or you know, you mark the pregnant, high blood pressure, heart disease, and then the patient. Their name and their phone number would be nice, otherwise you can't contact them. You can say verbally agree to be referred, or have them initial, or have them sign. If they speak any language other than English, aka if they don't speak English, just let us know, because then it wouldn't be a very effective conversation either. So, very, very easy. So if they're like, hey, I'm ready to do this, I'm excited, do it. Guess what, if they don't want to do it, they're not gonna, so doing this is a waste of your time. You might say, listen, you don't want to do it, but in any case, if you do change your mind between now and the next time I see you, or the next time you come in and see a doctor, here's a brochure. And if you find that you need some help, feel free to come back in, or call this number, or seek out some resources as well. So we're here to help. Okay, that's a referral as well. Okay. Cool. So, going to just a couple quick points here. Nicotine replacement therapy patch. They're 24-hour patches. Some people say, oh, it gives me nightmares. Okay, well, what are we, 13? Wear it for 16 hours instead of 24. Okay, take it off about an hour before you go to sleep. Sure, your craving might be a little bit tougher in the morning, so they're going to need some behavior change. But it's an effective way to not get them to have those vivid dreams. And oftentimes it is what it is. It's vivid dreams and not nightmares. Some people have nightmares. Sure, I get that. 3 steps, 21, 14, and 7. Some people say, oh, only wear 1 patch. Some people say, hey, you can mix and match some patches, 21 and the 7, or 2 14s, whatever else. Not really recommended that they smoke while on the patch. Okay? And then it can be used in conjunction with a gum, lozenge, or bupropion, not Chantix, like I've said. Gum and lozenge are great. Those combination packs really, really work, because if you have a constant stream of nicotine and then your boss just makes you super angry at work, that never happens to me. And then you're like, man, I need some nicotine, and then you just pop in a piece of gum. Great, craving gone, right? Cool.
How much nicotine are you getting each cigarette? So equivalent to like 21 or 17 or how many?
So each cigarette you actually absorb anywhere between 1 and 2 milligrams. So if you're a pack a day, the likelihood 20 to 40 milligrams that you're absorbing. Also depends on how far down you smoke the cigarette, how deep you inhale, physiology, stuff like that. So it's usually between 1 and 2. 21 is recommended if your patient smokes at least 10 a day, or if they smoke the very first thing in the morning. That shows a high level of addiction. Same thing with gum and lozenge, and they're pretty similar. 2 and 4 milligram gum, obviously the higher dose if they're smoking more than 10, or if they're doing it very, very first thing in the morning. If you're doing a combo between patches and gum, or patches and lozenges, give them the smaller, the smaller dose of the gum or the lozenge, okay? because you don't want them to have a 21 milligram patch and then get some more nicotine with that much nicotine. Usually that works. Some people are hardcore, man. I mean, some people are like, I smoke 3 packs a day, I need 2 patches and some gum. Like, get on it, come on. So, you know what? Is that probably better than smoking 3 packs a day? I think so. There's some addictive qualities to it. Obviously, since some people don't use it on the schedule, it is recommended that you use it on schedule. So let's say once every hour, and then eventually you go to every hour and a half, every 2 hours, and then you wean yourself off. And then maybe the last little bit you use kind of like, well, the day was stressful, so I might have. I was on a 5-hour flight next to a dude that used probably a good 10 pieces. So he's like, listen, I was a 3-pack-a-day smoker, and my doctor said I could just do this forever. And he's like, I'd rather you be on the gum every single day rather than smoking 3 packs a day. I'm not going to disagree. Okay, so.
That happens to me, because when I tried quit smoking, I tried everything. I paid good money for somebody to make me quit smoking, because I knew it was bad, but I could never do it on my own. And so I got addicted to the gum too. Oh, and I worked after to do it.
Sure.
Two lunches of gum. And
Yeah.
man, yeah, it was great. I never had to do this stuff,
Yeah.
but I had that.
Yep.
And I was good.
But you're done.
But I'm done now without all that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I finally had to I had to want to do it.
Yes.
I didn't want to do it for everybody else anymore. I wanted to do it for me.
Patient
So-
autonomy right there, right?
Yeah. I paid
All
good
right.
money. It was terrible.
Lozenges, great with people who have dentures. Everything else is essentially the same. They work pretty great. If anybody comes and tells you, oh, like they're big and they're gross and they last forever, those are the old ones, like get out of the 90s. We're in 2017 now. They're the little tiny mints. They dissolve in like 10 minutes. They taste good. You tuck them in between your cheek and your gum. They dissolve like very, very quickly. And it's really, really not bad. Very discreet. These, so the Nicotinol inhaler, and then the nasal spray. So those are dosed. So the Nicotinol inhaler is a dosed thing. So, for example, every hour you take a puff, or every 2 hours you take 2 puffs, whatever the dosage.
Is it regulated though?
Yes. So this is medication. It's not a vape.
Right,
Yeah.
and I'm just thinking the use of there just to feel it. More than every
How do you not get cancer from all of these things?
How do you not get cancer from
Yeah,
all these
it's like
things?
nicotine replacement.
So nicotine is not necessarily a cancer-causing agent.
It's
Nicotine.
stuff that is in the cigarettes.
Yeah, absolutely. So, whereas, and it has small levels of a few other substances, but when you're really comparing it to something like even like a vape, it's considerably less. And they're talking about dosage. Like, I don't know if you've ever looked at any advertising for any type of e-cigs. They're not talking about cessation. I've never seen a single one that's talking about cessation, but I have seen them target children, gays and lesbians, women. There's one that says it's 0 calories and it'll make you skinny and stuff like that. And I'm like, holy moly! Like this is the wrong way to do it, because they're not advertising for somebody who's trying to quit. This stuff's not really being advertised at all.
I didn't know it was a thing.
Yeah.
It's
and a
like
lot of people
cigarettes used
don't.
to be sexy to smoke. And,
Exactly.
more
Think about the name
mature
Virginia
and-
Slims.
And they
it's-
got in trouble for that, so it doesn't seem right that now.
This is not as regulated, even with the new FDA rules. Yeah, the FDA rules went into effect in May of 2017, and there's another set of rules that are 2018 in May, and some other ones along the line. They're going to do very, very little. AKA the FDA is not going to do a whole lot, let's be honest. The thing that they are going to do is, yeah, it's tough. That's part of the problem, though. And I mean, yes, we can certainly make the case that there is a problem with nicotine. So one of the things that we're finding out now, if you read scientific journal and are a nerd, kind of like me, is that nicotine does actually play into metabolic disorders, metabolic syndrome. It can have an effect on, insulin resistance, for example. So, it has some issues, certainly. we would like to do without. But it also is the addictive factor, so you can't just pull it away. So that's, I guess, the thoughts. Nasal spray is kind of the same. You kind of blow into your nose and then you're, yeah. But you're not inhaling it, so.
And cancer is generally caused by damage, continual damage to cells over and over and over again, and exposure to the chemicals. So if you're inhaling that into the lung, then the lung tissue is constantly irritated and exposed to those chemicals and carcinogens. So it's all the 2,000 or 2,500 other chemicals that are in cigarettes that is the problem.
Yeah, and that's the scary part about the vapes that I told you guys is the particles are much smaller. They do get deeper into your lungs. So we do need to see like what sort of what sort of thing. I mean, but think about it. Like it's been around for what, 5 years now. It's been popular for 5 years now, and we're gonna see the effects of it in probably the next 10. So I mean, essentially, but who knows? Other prescription drugs, Zyban, Wellbutrin, Propion, kind of the same thing. Was a antidepressant, and then they found that people who were on this for depression were quitting at higher rates than those who were not. And so they rebranded it as a cessation medication. You can use it with nicotine replacement products, and actually helps quite a bit. It's not super popular, but it is very cheap. And that's pretty fantastic. Chantix is very expensive, but it also works. You saw that. We don't have a quit rate for Zyban or Bupropion or Wellbutrin because we don't see a lot of people using it, unfortunately. That's okay, but we do know that ever since we launched our Chantix promotion, we started making it at no cost to the participant in mid-February of 2016, essentially Valentine's Day. And then we started marketing it in April, all right? So we saw the numbers climb. Not only that, we saw the numbers of prescriptions filled climb. So whereas in January of 2015, before it was free, we had 26 people order it, 9 people only pick it up. So it's what, 30% essentially, a little bit more. And now we're kind of in like the 80s and 90s of people ordering it and picking it up and using it. So we've had a higher sample to actually be able to evaluate what the effectiveness of this drug is. The black box warning has been revoked. I've read the study, and I believe it was last May when it was before it came out. I was in a certified tobacco treatment specialist class where this lady brought it in. It's like, check this out, like Chantix, let's get rid of this black box warning. It used to be that those who are, have depression, anxiety, bipolar, schizophrenia, etc., they said that they were a lot more likely to try to attempt suicide if they have had those suicidal tendencies prior. However, they did studies and that showed that otherwise. Okay, so that has been revoked at this point. It's coming up to about $350 per month prescription. So just to give you a little bit more of an idea, when we first started offering a discount on Chantix, we were providing $180 credit for the first month, $160 for the second, and $160 for the third month, back when the medication was $215. So a $35 copay is somewhat reasonable. Maybe not for everybody, because we do know we deal with a lot of low socioeconomic class. But by the time that we had to change it, it was up, I think, right above $300. So at that point, somebody's paying $115 per month for a medication that doesn't know if it works or not. So we decided, you know what, we had a few extra funds that we weren't going to be able to use up. It's either use it or lose it at that point. We try to use it on this, and we found that our results are great. People love it. Obviously, some people just don't use it, but it's 46% quit rate is pretty high. Usually, if you're quitting cold turkey, most people state that it's between 3 and 7% success rate. for cold turkey. Maybe I've seen 3 to 10% cold turkey success rates. If you're using nicotine replacement products in coaching, you're already at 30%. So being near 50% with Chantix is pretty good.
Do you find that Chantix, that they have you heard of them having more nightmares?
Yes.
I have had several people tell me that it was just horrifying. Absolutely horrifying. They weren't just
Ironically-
nightmares. They were horrifying, you know, and
Yeah.
they couldn't handle going to bed at night because it was so
I've heard that.
frightening.
Yeah, I've heard of that. Ironically, I've heard the same thing with gum and lozenge as well.
Really?
Oh, and
I've never
patch,
heard of
yeah.
it,
Yeah.
of those. I'll be darned.
Yeah, patches especially, and that's where
Really?
people are like, I can't do the patch, I have nightmares. The patch you can take it off. With Chantix, you know what? Some people just can't take it, but the
Maybe
fact
that's
that,
it.
yeah. So sometimes it's not every medication works for everybody.
That's true.
And I've certainly counseled people who were like, I'm not using Chantix, there's no way. It works great, but I can't do it. Well, you can't do it. You know, there's other methods out there. So,
Well, is it fair to ask people about life-changing circumstances? Let's say they've had death in the family, or they're going through a divorce, or they're, just whatever circumstance is more stressful in their life. Can you ask that, or is that just like not really?
you might
Allowed.
have to check your code of ethics on what you can and can't ask.
Okay.
So I'm not sure. When it comes to medication, I don't think those things necessarily matter as much as whether or not that person's actually ready to do it. So if they're actually ready to do it and they're committed to doing it, even if they're getting a divorce and like, you know what, my life's changing right now, this is happening, I want to be a new person, I want to be a better person, I'm going to quit. Well, great. Quit. That's fantastic. So,
Or my thinking was they start smoking because of these stressful circumstances.
sure. And,
I've seen that too.
Yeah, significant life events. I mean, obviously, you probably asked about, depression, anxiety, and if those things are tied into that, absolutely. So, and then we talked about the referral, fax provider referral. We're hopefully going to get this sorted out, as I know that people don't have time to fill it out. Like I said, if you have a little sticker to the referring organization, just place a sticker on there. If you can provide a consent form, or a provider signature rather, saying that, hey, this person has uncontrolled high blood pressure, but they can use NRT if they want to. Great, put that on there. Just put it on there whether you know or not that they plan to use it or not. If they're pregnant, just probably let us know that we could have a pregnancy coach. Give them a call. And you could check that little box if you can read it. It says patient agreed to be referred to the Wyoming for Tobacco program. Or that initial upper left-hand corner, or the signature, it's the patient's signature, or you can initial anywhere, or you can say verbally agreed to participate, or just say verbally agreed. Essentially, we need the name, phone number. Like I said, you could also do this online. The forms changed a little bit because we got a new website. It's a little bit more interactive. But it's mostly the same. There's a provider referral and provider information tab. Go to there, go to e-referral, and fill that out. Have somebody else fill that out who does that type of stuff. It's kind of the same stuff. It's slightly a different. There you go. Limited time offer. This is one of our ads. You'll see a lot of the green ads around. We're actually coming up with a new campaign. It's called You Can Quit. It's an empowerment campaign. It gives real situations where one person quit, their spouse didn't, and they're having kind of a hard time. If you're like out and about at a bar and somebody whips out a cigarette, you want one, try to stay away, things like that. You probably see those CDC commercials where they're gross, and people lost limbs and teeth and had heart attacks and blah, blah, blah. That works for some. It absolutely works for some. And that message needs to be out there because that's the real story of tobacco. The other real story of tobacco is, motivation, hope, opportunity. opportunity and possibility, and that's what we provide. So the CDC provides that scary message that needs to be out there, but we provide this message that that hey, we can help you quit. You can quit your way.
What about the incentive program? You know, I think incentives work. It's sort of like reward. Okay, I do this, and we'll now do something really great at the end of that goal. You know, like treat themselves to, I don't know, something really, a spa day or something. I don't know.
You mean from us?
No, or if that person could set that up as a goal, that would be wonderful if you could. But to have a person make goals,
Sure.
incentives for
So,
themselves.
When people do call in, we talk about some of their motivations, and oftentimes, you know, the motivation is monetary. So I worked for National Jewish Health, who was who actually provides these services before I worked for the Department of Health here, and they actually did hold a lot of states, you know, on the East Coast as well, that had very, very, very high taxes on cigarettes. We have extremely low taxes on cigarettes. So who smokes? Pregnant women, youth start smoking. They're very, very they're very dependent on price. So if you raise the prices of the taxes on here, less youth will smoke and more pregnant women will quit. Okay. So one of the things that we saw is specifically a lot of the people that are in Ohio and Pennsylvania, specifically in Philadelphia where the taxes are outrageous, Michigan, places like that. Like, I'm spending $8 per pack right now. It's ridiculous. If you're talking about $5 a pack, which is, well, we're a little over $5 a pack on average in the state. If you're talking about that, that's right under $2,000 a year. $2,000 a year is it's a down payment on a car. It's for a lot of brand new cars, it's the whole year's payments. You know, so it's a lot of money, and they would set those goals. It depends on the person. So if they want to set that goal and they're like, you know what, I'm going to put $5 away every week, and you know, at the end of the time, I'm going to try to just go ahead and you know, take a vacation or buy my grandchildren, you know, new toys or whatever. Everybody's got their own motivations, and we do work. The counselors do work with individual people to set some goals, to, you know, reward themselves, or, you know, to see kind of like the benefit, the light at the end of the tunnel. Because honestly, there's not a single person in the world that's like, oh, this is really good for me, or this is awesome. Like, I really like spending money on this stuff. Like, not a lot of people do that. You know, there's not one person that doesn't think it's bad for them. Okay, that doesn't know what the side effects are. Especially here in America. I mean, you might go to a lot of these other countries, and the attitudes toward tobacco are different. Attitudes towards tobacco are very negative here. So yeah, so we do work with that. If you have questions, of course I did not bring any of my 250 cards that I ordered. That's all. You can email me. And then I also brought some brochures with me. They kind of look like this. Quitting starts here. No scare tactics. No judgments. We got about probably like 500. So if you're somebody who works with patients directly, or your office does, grab some brochures. I'll leave this whole box here. I brought 3 fax referral forms. I don't know whoever needs it. If you want to just rip off half and use half, that's fine. Whoever needs whatever, let me know. I'll also be sending you guys some posters. You can post around here on the floors, in the elevators, wherever you want. Where you can use them. So.
I have some brochures and some quick kits in our department over in the MOB. So
Yep.
if anybody's in the MOB or has a patient that wants some information and needs it, please call me and I'll give you whatever you need
Perfect.
from there.
That's awesome. You had a
What
question?
if they've used you in the past and then you start, can they use your counseling services again?
Good question.
The prescription stuff, or how does that work?
So they are eligible for counseling essentially as many times as they need to. The medication is once a year.
Oh, once a year?
Yeah, once a
So
year.
even if it's tested year, then they can.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And it's when they started. So if they started in January and I got my first pack of patches in January of 2016, let's say, in January of 2017, I'm eligible again. So January, February, March is when I would have used those 12 patches, but it's not from when they stopped using it, it's from when they started. So it's 12 months from the start, not 12 months from the end. Yeah, so they are eligible. And we try to provide as many benefits as we can, but we just got a huge budget cut. You guys know about that here, unfortunately, but yeah. But I mean, honestly, if you're talking about it, the state of Wyoming spends just under $800 million on tobacco costs. So this is a tiny state, the least populated state. We spend $800 million on tobacco. Yeah, that's direct and indirect. So the only thing that's more expensive is the alcohol because of the legal costs. So if we had legal costs associated with tobacco, I'm sure it would be in the billions. So there you go.
So with the referral form, when it says provider, like, does it need to be by their primary care? Does it need to be by a doctor? Like, who can send the referral, or can they just call and it'd be like a...
You can call, you could have them call, you could be like, hey, here's a brochure, call them. They're a lot more likely to quit than normal within the next year if you ask them if they quit. If you tell them that maybe they should quit in a good manner. If you provide them with some information such as this, and they're even more likely to quit if you actually do refer them. If you're anybody who deals with a patient, if you're a psychologist, a dietitian, a nutritionist, an RN, anybody else, an administrator that works for some type of department, and you can fill this out, sure. The provider signature is that, it says here, does the patient have any of these following conditions? Pregnant or breastfeeding, uncontrolled high blood pressure, or heart disease. Those are the three that we asked about. And you can check those and just send it in, just letting us know. And then, if yes, please sign to authorize the Wyoming Quit Tobacco Program to send the patient free over-the-counter nicotine replacement therapy. So if you're able to, for example, prescribe that patient NRT or Chantix or something like that, and you're able to sign off that, hey, even though they are pregnant and want them to use NRT, sign off on that. And if you have that signing ability, then do that. If, for example, you don't have that ability, but you really want them to have it, and that doctor works here, for example, and you say, hey, I just saw this person, I'm doing a dietary evaluation on them because they're pregnant, but I'm thinking that they should probably stop smoking, and they said that they need help. Would you authorize them to use NRT? And then you can have them sign it. But if you don't have to fill out this provider section, the middle section. You just say, hey, we're the referring organization and we want to refer them to you. I don't care if you're a business, we'll still give them a call. So if you're an accountant, a tax accountant, and you think one of your clients should quit, obviously don't sign off on your provider referral, but you say, hey, this person needs to quit and they want to quit, and I'm referring them to you. So. And you guys have wonderful questions, by the way. Any other questions, concerns? No? Okay. Well, thank you guys for having me. I'm really awfully glad to be here.
Thank you.
Good questions.